Hello and welcome back. My name is Tommy Cladi and this will be video number 3, memory cache. I like to say in C Sharp, but it seems like this is specifically for web applications. But hey, let's get started. This is a random topic, but I've always wanted to show something that I discovered about memory cache. And before I continue, I would like to give a big thumbs up to Tim Corey. I'm sure you do know Tim Corey. He introduced this topic in one of his videos, and yeah, it was interesting. I'm like, I need something like this. So let's get started. I'm not gonna answer what is memory cache. Please do your own research. But how I applied it in my system, cover the shoe, it's something that it should, get you warm up. So first and foremost, let's go to the installers. So where do you set it up? Normally you would go to program.cs, but I moved everything to installers and I break into pieces, specifically MVC installer. And this is where you would now say services.add memory cache. That's all you have to do, right? So that's the first place. I want to make an example of, let's see. Let's go to general MVC. Okay. I did apply memory cache on both MVC and Web API, and I'll tell you about the Web API a bit later on. But let's start with MVC. I want to make an example of news feeds, right, system. But here, as you can see, there's no mention of memory cache whatsoever. No mention. But I want to make an example of news feeds. Be patient. You're about to see what I'm talking about. So let's go to the services. You see this guy here? Let's go to the services. But services, general, MVC, news feeds. There we go. Now, this is where now I bring in private read only, I memory cache underscore memory cache. This is how I do it, by the way. I made a video about video number 2, variables in C Sharp. And tell me what you think about that. If you do have any questions whatsoever, please leave them down below on the comment section and I'll be sure to answer any question you might have. So we do have a memory cache, and you have to make sure that the constructor knows about that memory cache before you can make use of it, right? Now, I want to focus on get all news feeds, right? So the first thing I do, I say var news feeds underscore list. And I'm going to say, hey, memory cache, I need you to go and get. I'll come back to what this return type is, right? But you have to say, if I want to get something, I want you to return as something. So in this case, I want you to get me memory cache. I want you to return that as a list of news feeds, right? And I'm going to give you the key. Now, if you look at this guy, it expects the return type, but also a key, which is an object. So I like to use global variables. I'll probably make a video about global variables. You're gonna see this class everywhere in any of my projects. Azure DevOps, there's a global variables. Web, there's a global variables. Mobile for .NET MAUI, there's a global variables. In this case, I'm like, okay, MVC, so this is for MVC, and there's a cache and the key for the news feeds, right? So that's all I do, right? Because I reuse this multiple times. If it happens that we don't have anything, this is why I check. If it's null, then I'm gonna go and ask a database to say, listen, I want you to order by descending based on the date they were created as a list, right? I get this guy. When I'm done with it, who can tell me what's wrong with line number, after line number 28, between 20, in fact 29? What's missing here? As a developer, as a programmer, you need to check if this is null. And I just noticed this. I'm not checking if I did find something or not. Is it important that I check if it's null or not? If you have an answer, please leave it down below. All right. And then what I do is memory cache, I want you to set, right? The same key, because it needs the key. I want you to set using this key, and I'm going to give you what I need you to store in the caching system, which is the results from database. For how long? For 1 day. It's very important when you work with a memory cache or any caching system. For how long? It's very important, and I'll explain. And then when we are done, we are returning a list. So let me run the application. don't want any debug mode. Run without debug. So let me show you something very quickly. So this focus here, it's on MVC, right? MVC. And I want to show you something. Let me stop because here I'm on my dashboard. So let's go to news feeds. As soon as I click this guy, it's calling that get all for the first time. So whether it got the data from the memory cache or it went to database, the decision it's been made here right now. I want you to see this. You see how long it's taking to load? And besides, I'm talking to my database in Azure, and this is a local development database. So this is the data from the database, right? But did you see how long it took? I'm gonna go back to a task and I'm gonna click this guy again. See how quick it was. For the first time, it took about a couple of seconds, well, a minute or so. But now the second time, it took about seconds. If I refresh, check how quick it is. It's because it did not go to a database. Instead, it went to the caching. But here's a challenge. I'm gonna use this one as an example, general. So this is my database. Like I said, it's a local development database, but up there in Azure. So this general, I'm gonna edit. Where's general? Here it is. General underscore test. And I'm gonna hit save. I'm saving the actual data and it's saved. But if I go back, either this one, I still see general there, right? It doesn't matter, general, again, because of the caching. Now, you have to make a decision as a developer. When do I want now to override the state of the cache, of the data in the cache, right? It's very important. So let's go back to the code. So we are done with this one. I have made a decision that if I want to read more information about it, let's go and click here. I read more information about it. But you see now, check this. I got the updated version, which is what? This one. But if I cancel, it's still there because of the cache was applied to get all, but not on the info. Because if you look at the next one, the info, and here's the info, I'm going straight to the database because I need to get a specific one, specific record in a database, right? Here I'm getting a list. I hope you see the difference. But if info is showing this data, let me close this. It's showing the newly updated data. What then? How can we change it so that the get all can get the updated data? That's when our edit comes in. Edit. You see there it is. Right. Now, let's go to the code and look at the edit. Here's the edit. Edit, go straight to database. It's a must. When we are done making some changes, it's fine. We're going to go and save the changes to a database. When that's saved, it's important. Did you know that you can actually get the status of save changes async? It returns integer, right? So 1 is success, 0 it's anything but success. So if it's edited as 1, that means it was successful. What I do is remove memory cache, remove using what? The same key. That's why it's important, because as a developer, you do not hard code your anything, your strings. You just make sure that at least you do a variable of some sort. Now, let's say tested, save, check what's going to happen. It's going to redirect me back to what? Get all. Give it a couple of seconds. There we go. And here it is. Tested. Now I hit refresh. It's tested. If I go back to data and hit refresh, there we go, it's tested. So that's memory cache on one side. But let me take it further and look at something else. Now, I'm gonna switch gears. I'm gonna go to .NET. I'm gonna go and fire Android. This is very important. Now check this. Start without debugging. So, how then did I apply it on .NET or on API, right? So we are done with this one. While it's still firing. Okay, now let's go. I'm gonna use a different example, which is startup. API v1 version updates. This one. Version updates. So what is a version update? It's a system, right? It's a system. This is no longer running. Okay. It's a system that I came up with that the mobile application should make use of. If I'm making changes, fixing bugs, whatever I'm doing, introducing new features, I want my end users to get the most recent update of the version. So I suggest that there's a new version available. So when the app launches, it's gonna check for it. Let's see the status of it. It's gonna launch. Let's give it a couple of seconds. In fact, let me do this. I don't understand, why can't I move this now? Okay. This is strange. There we go. I want to do something like this. All right. All right. And now we start again. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. So while we wait for the app to launch, now on version updates, I'll explain about version updates, right? I even see if you're in South Africa, you're using Capitec Bank as your banking. They have made this change after I've came up with the system that I did. You know, they're forcing our app. When you launch the app, it's checking for the updates. It's a must. But it doesn't make sense because the way Capitec went about it doesn't make sense. For me, it does make sense. Let me tell you about Capitec. Capitec is checking for the update, but they're not telling us if there's any update. Does it make sense? Right. So in my case, when it comes to version updates, again, private read-only memory cache. But did you see, remember on the installers, I only say services.add memory cache once. It doesn't matter if it's MVC or API. So I have to make sure the constructor knows about it. When we get all, here's something that's very interesting. This is get a version update for V1. I now pass in and expect the platform. If it's Android, it's going to check for Android. If it's iOS, it's going to check for iOS. It's very important. Then I say var get version update response underscore V1. There's a reason why this variable is like this. I'm going to go to memory cache, say get, and I'm going to give it a key. Do you see the key is different from the same class, which is global variables, but it's different in a sense that I say API underscore cache underscore key underscore version updates. The reason why it's API because I can have a key for MVC. In fact, let's go there. If I now navigate to it, where's my cursor? My cursor shows. There we go. So you see, this is the key for the API. I have the key for MVC. So this is why it's very important, because you cannot override the state of the MVC via API. No, you cannot override the state of API via the MVC using the key, right? So I'm saying, okay, if that is null, then I want you to go to a database and get the fresh data, right? Order by descending create on and check the platform, because there are two platforms, right? And then also I'm using AutoMap. I'll probably make a video if you want to know about what's going on line number 30. Make sure you leave the comment down below. And then once I'm done, and I'm going to say, okay, memory cache set, I'm using this guy, right? The same key. And then this is the data that we got from database. And then again for 1 day. This decision for 1 day was very important, because I don't know how frequent, I do know how frequent I check for the bugs. I do know how frequent the app is launching. I do know how frequent I fix certain things or make the changes or introduce features. So when you click on this button, continue, it's gonna go ahead and check for the update. Check how long it's taking right now. It's done. So it went and checked whether it went via the memory cache or database. I don't know, right? But this is the version right now. And then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna stop. And then I'm gonna launch it again, but without firing from VS. And I want you to see how quick it takes. There we go. You see how quick it was. Again, remove it from memory, launch it. This is how quick it is. So this is the power of memory cache. I saw the advantage because everybody's teaching you about the advantage of the web, the benchmark, it takes few seconds. But what is the practicality of the real time? Like how can we use it in our real scenario? Yes, real scenario. So that's why I want to make example of version updates, because version updates, it's part of the system that every user gets to share. But my app, it's way advanced. The things that belong to the user, specifically the user, cannot have memory cache. There's a reason why. There are instances where, but I'll probably show you. Wait for the next video number 4. I don't know what the topic is gonna be, but I have a lot of stuff that I want to show you and say, listen, this is how I went about it. There's accumulation of knowledge there and there and there and there, and I put it in this big system that I love so much. I hope you learned something about memory cache. Until next time, remember, if you have any question you have, this is the first time looking at this video, consider subscribing for more videos. Until next time.